What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Absolute Power, directed by Clint Eastwood. I'm going to waste no time. I'm going to get right into this thing. I overall think that Absolute Power was a really, really good political thriller. The overall plot of this movie is very, very simple, yet very, very intriguing. Clint Eastwood plays this master jewelry thief named Luther Whitney, who, in the process of robbing this mansion, sees a murder go down, and the person who commits this murder is the President of the United States. And since Whitney was in this place with the intention of robbing it, he can't really do anything because that would link him to the crime, and he would go down along with everyone else involved. And this movie's strong point is the cat and mouse atmosphere that it has all throughout this movie. The first 30 minutes of this movie alone is fantastic, and that momentum never really lets up. It just keeps on going and going and going and going until you get to the climax of the film. And I think Eastwood overall did a brilliant job behind the director's chair. He's really good at these cat and mouse thriller movies. He's like a master at the craft. So Eastwood's direction in this movie is fantastic. The cinematography in this movie is very, very grounded and very, very realistic, as all of Eastwood movies are. The performances in this movie from everyone in the cast, they all do a fantastic job. Clint Eastwood as Luther Whitney plays the aging jewelry thief to perfection. I like a lot of the relationships he has. I like the relationship he has with the lead detective named Seth Frank, played by Ed Harris. I like the fractured relationship he has with his daughter Kate, and I like the budding tension between Whitney and pretty much the entire Oval Office. He's got the Secret Service after him because they're guarding the president. He's got the president on him. He's got everyone on him. He's got this character called Walter Sullivan, whose wife was the one who was killed by the president after the wife was having an affair with said president, who was hired a hitman to take down Whitney. Like, everyone is out to get Whitney, yet he's the only man who knows the truth, and the tension in this movie just never lets up. Like I said, the first 30 minutes of this movie is fantastic, but you have a handful of other scenes that are just as great. There's this really, really great scene, the cafe scene, where you have these two snipers out to get Whitney, and they just barely get him. You have this really nail-biting scene where one of the Secret Service agents nearly kills his daughter by running her car off of a cliff. You know, this movie is full of great, tense atmosphere, and it's just, again, it's tightly directed, it's tightly written, it's tightly paced. Everything about this movie is really well done for a thriller-esque movie. Like I said, going back to the performances, as I digressed a little bit over there, Eastwood and Ed Harris in their roles do a great job. Laura Henley as the daughter does a great job. Gene Hackman, who plays the president, is is really good at playing this sniveling simp, as Eastwood calls him in the film, and just seeing just how evil this guy can be. You know, he's messing around with a man who he claims to be a father figure to him. He's messing around with his wife. He almost killed the man's daughter. And then he does a press conference where, in front of millions of people, completely just, leeches off this old man's grief. Gene Hackman does a great job of playing this slimy, just horrible human being of a president who constantly has a smile on his face. It's a great performance. I really like Gene Hackman in this movie. He does a great job with it. And the other supporting cast members do a great job as well. You got Scott Glenn, who plays one of the Secret Service agents who is working with the police to take down Whitney. And then you have the Dennis Haber character, who is very, very loyal to the president and is completely fucking psychotic to his own right, because he's the one who nearly kills Whitney's daughter, and he's one of the snipers that tries to kill Whitney, along with the other sniper that was held by the Walter Sullivan character, who was played by E.G. Marshall in one of E.G. Marshall's final roles. E.G. Marshall, he's not in this movie a lot, but he does a really good performance as well, and you really buy the grief of his wife dying, and you really buy the disdain, hatred that he develops for Alan Richmond once Luther Whitney tells him the truth. And I think the climax of this movie fit the tone of this movie. You didn't have this shootout or this anything. You had this really intense scene of Sullivan walking through the presidency with the letter opener, which was the weapon that was used to kill his wife. Correction. The letter opener was what the wife used to pretty much defend herself from the president after he was getting rough with her. So he has the letter opener, and when he sees the president, We never see what happened, but from news for but what we do hear through word, pretty much. Now Walter kills the president, but he covers it up and makes it look like the president killed himself. So it's a fitting end to a despicable character, and the character of Walter, he gets his revenge, so to speak, in a way. Because the Walter Sullivan character, he didn't do anything heinous, didn't do anything bad. He's a victim of an unfortunate circumstance, and the Luther Whitney character pretty much helped this man get his revenge. So I like all that stuff. It really plays well into the overall story as a whole. It's good stuff. So yeah, I think Absolute Power is a great movie. Actually, I'm gonna give it a fucking 10 out of 10. I thought this movie was fantastic. It's tightly written, it's tightly paced. I was never bored watching this movie at all. My eyes were glued to the screen. The performances were rock solid. The action sequences were tightly directed and very, very intense. The musical score in this movie was really well done, and there are a lot of scenes that don't have the musical score, but the lack of music adds to the overall tension that this movie is trying to create. And I just think it did it perfectly. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for Absolute Power. I highly recommend you watch this movie and give it a watch. It's damn good, and it deserves to be in the public eye in terms of how to do a tightly directed thriller type-esque movie. So yes, those are my thoughts on Absolute Power. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.